Now that we've briefly gone over the different types of compression modes that are available, let's hear these in action. In this video, let's add some of these compression modules to some of the drums. Now, what will work pretty well in the drums are using less of the leveler transparent compression, so more of the aggressive types like the compressor and limiter. I want to go through these first and show you how they work and then bypass them so you can hear them in action. And in the following video, we'll try out the leveler on a bass instrument because it's any less aggressive sound and it works pretty well on bass. So let's first start off with the more aggressive modes and then work backwards to the less aggressive and hear them in action. On the song, I've set up a loop range. So we're going to loop through this and then I'm going to solo and go through some of these drums and add the compression modes onto it to show you what it sounds like. Starting off with the kick, we've got 3 different kick samples. I'm going to solo each one and then start adding a compression and then we'll compare before and after. So let's solo this kick and take a listen to it. Arm the compression. And let's change it to the compression module. And this works as a ratio knob. So here there's a less ratio on the compression and increasing it will give you a higher ratio. Let's set it at the middle and start pulling down this threshold till we get some gain reduction. Okay, let's do some makeup gain from off the compression. It's adding some extra punch to that kick. Here it is before. Really working really nice there. So let's hear with less of a ratio and then more. It's maybe a bit too compressed here. So somewhere maybe around about 3:1. That's working pretty well. Now let's go for this other kick. And here there's a different mic on this kick drum. Arm the compression, choose the compression module. Increase the ratio, maybe about the same, and start pulling down this threshold. So we've got some gain reduction, then some makeup gain. Here before. Just giving some extra punch to that kick. Now what about the sub kick? And here that's pretty low. Let's also use the compression module. Pull the threshold down and maybe have a higher ratio with this, somewhere around 4:1. So you really want to get the oomph out of that sub kick and increase the makeup gain. Before. And let's hear all 3 kicks playing together. Really giving you some extra impact. Before. It's okay. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So as you can see, it's really easy to work. You've just got a simple 1 knob control for the compression, then using the threshold and then the makeup gain to make up for the gain reduction. That's how pretty simple this compression mode works, but it really gives you some great results. Now let's jump on to the snares. And the snare has quite a hard transient. So for this one, how about we use the limiter and hear this in action. Now let's start playback. And you've got control over the release, so you can actually extend the release of the snare. So it's quite a sharp sound, that snare. But let's have a longer release and start pulling down that threshold. It's just extending the sustain on it. Add the makeup gain. Heard before. It's quite nice and snappy, but with that extra extended release, gives a nice tail to that snare. Try with a shorter release
you still get the punch, and you can pull down the threshold to get more compression on that.
But I quite like the longer release. That's okay. It's really got a character with that release on. Now on the bottom snare, same thing. The limiter, a long release, makeup gain. Now hearing that before and after, and both snares. No compression. And with compression. Awesome. Now let's go for something different. How about looking at the room or far room mic? This will use the compression mode. And let's start playback and hear it in action. Add the compression. Have maybe quite a heavy ratio. And start pulling the threshold down. So you're actually applying quite a hard compression on that room sound. But if we blend this in with the drums, it'll actually be pretty nice. Hearing it before. And again. Maybe dial back threshold and ratio slightly. Awesome. Now I know I did say that I'd cover the leveler with the bass instrument in the next video, but let's give a quick demonstration on these overheads using the leveler to just add some transparent compression to the overheads. So we'll solo that, arm the compression, and let's hear it in action. Now this works with an attack knob, so you can shape the transient of that initial attack. If you have quite a short one, it'll smooth the attack out, just round it off. Let's hear this in action. Makeup gain. Before. After. Maybe with a longer attack. So you're getting that initial sound. So as you can see, the leveler is very transparent. Now let's jump to the compression and hear the difference. Much more aggressive. So maybe what will work is a high threshold with a short ratio on the compression. So you get some slight gain reduction. So it's really just a little bit, but it's going a long way. Now let's hear all those drums together. So the kicks, the snares, and then the overheads. I've left out the toms and hats because I don't want to really add some compression onto these right now. I just want to hear these in action. So let's first disable all the compression on those tracks and hear it. Now enable the compression and take a listen. Much more punchier, just pushing those dynamics on the tracks. Turn them off. And on again. Awesome. So that shows you how you can very easily choose the different compression modes and then dial in the settings with just some simple parameters. You've basically just got 3 parameters on a compressor that you need to tweak to get the sound sounding how you want it to sound in the mix. And just bear in mind, the different compression modes have different parameters over here. So with the leveler, you got the attack dial, compression, you got the ratio, and then the limiter, you've got the release. And as you could see, you could use the compression to shape how hard it wants to compress and shape those transients.
Where with the limiter, you can actually shape the sustain and give those sounds a bit more of a tail.
Like on those snares. So that gives you a very quick idea on how to use the compression. Now in the next video, let's explore that leveler a bit more by using it on the bass instrument. Catch you in the next video.